This meeting is being recorded.
Well, welcome back to the Mission of God for the Family. We've been talking about discipline, a house full of discipline, how to do discipline in a way that imitates God and trains up your kids into wisdom. And now I want to spend some time talking um, about marriage and what is husbanding, what does it mean to be a wife, what is the nature of marriage. And when I say nature, I'm talking about in a metaphysical sense. What is marriage? What is it for? What is a husband? What are they for? What is a wife? What are they for? Because I think a lot of times when we get into situations that are new and we're not quite sure what to do, we don't stop and say, "Well, what what kind of creature am I?" And because when we know what kind of creature we are, it actually really helps us uh, kind of know and understand what to do in different situations. And so I'm going to um, look uh, in detail at Genesis. We've done some of this before, but I want to review um, and then really talk about what is it that a husband and wife um, are doing in the world. So we see in the beginning of the Bible when Adam and Eve are created that Adam is put in the garden, or he's created and he's brought into the garden and shown gardening by God, um, because he is to be a representative of God to the garden, right? He's the image of God. And one thing that the image means when it's directed Godward is that we're the kind of creature that can have fellowship with God. But when it is pointed gardenward towards the world, God sets up Adam as an image of him in the garden, meaning that he is ruling the garden under God's reign. Right? He is a representative of God to the garden, and what that means is he's supposed to be the protector of the garden and the gardener of the garden. He's the dominator, meaning he takes dominion. And that word, because of sin, has gotten into the world, and we mostly have bad examples of dominion. The word dominate has bad connotations, and I'm not trying to rescue the word dominate, but the word dominion, um, there is directly the command of God. And so Adam is supposed to take dominion, and that means get hold of a thing and bring it to its intended end. What is it for? How do you bring it to its intended end? And he's supposed to do that to the garden, to the land, and to the wilds. And in order to do that, he can't do it on his own. He needs a helper that can help him um, know what to do it. They can work on it together, and they can multiply, um, so that there's more images of God to go out representing God to the world and bring the whole world to its intended end. Now he's also the gatherer of gold from the land. He's supposed to go out, get the gold, bring it home, and uh, and bring bring the garden up. Now he's not able to do it. He needs a helper, and so he's given a woman. He's Isha, which the root word of woman is fire. Right, she is the fire that God brings into the world, and what Adam is supposed to do is woo that fire into the hearth of his home. Right, the um, she is a powerful force, um, and it's a force that when Adam woos her into his mission with him, then together they're going to be able to accomplish what God has given Adam the responsibility to do. He can't do it on his own. She can't do it on her own, but together they are going to be able to accomplish what God gave them to do. So together they are also the image of God, the singular image of God. And uh, to to understand what that she is given as this vessel of powerful wisdom um, is difficult for us today because we think that you go out and you get wisdom someplace else, but we don't understand the way that God built the cosmos and then the relationship of man to it. Right? Mankind is a microcosm of the world, right? We are the the reason that we are kings of this place is because we're the perfect sort of representative to rule this place. And uh, when woman is created, she is a microcosm of the garden, meaning that if Adam can understand how to guard and garden her, bring her, uh, love her and care for her in such a way that she becomes who God intended her to be, make her safe and fruitful. Um, the then and woo her into his mission, then he's going to discover that that same way of taking care of her is going to be a blessing to the garden, to the world, because he's going to be transformed into the kind of man that can garden the world because he took care of the first garden. Now, this is why uh, women are intentionally complex, right? God made women very complex uh, because uh, he needs the help of something complex, but he also needs to learn to care for and love and um, and love in such a way that she becomes who she intended to be, this very complex creature that God has given as a gift, because she is the peak of creation. She's the crown of creation. She said, it says her hair is tresses of glory, right? There's all sorts of things where uh, she is the kind of creature that can carry glory, the kind of creature that can display glory, that can hold glory, and he is not. Meaning, if he tries to hold on to all the glory that he finds for himself, then it rots. But if he brings any sort of glory that he has and delivers it to her, she is the kind of creature that can carry that glory because she is a garden who gardens. She transforms the plunder that Adam is going to go out and get into bounty. She's the beautiful beautifier. And then God changes her name, or Adam actually renames her Eve once she begins having children, because a there is more to her goal, right? Once she uh, voluntarily uh, becomes his wife, then she becomes Eve, begins to have children. And we see that once her name is renamed Eve, that there's a whole another layer that she brings into the world as the image of God that Adam didn't, right? She's the seer. She's the first one who trusts God. She's the one who can. Adam needs her perspective combined with his perspective, right? If the wife's perspective always dominates in a marriage, that's a problem. If the husband's perspective always dominates in a marriage, that's a problem. But when a husband and wife, they each bring their two perspectives together, and then their perspectives are combined in fellowship and in love and in mutual submission, then what you end up with is true vision of the world. And that vision is the vision that gets hold of the world and really transforms it. We see that she's the peak of creation in the sense that she's created last, right? He creates the world, he gets hold of it, he transforms it, he says it's good. He keeps glorifying and making the world better and better. And the last thing he creates is woman. And then woman is transformed into Eve, right? And she's now the peak of creation. And then she's mankind's baptismal font. In Galatians 4:26, uh, says the church is the mother of us all, births us all into existence. Well, that means that Eve is the very first baptismal font of reality, right? Through the waters of Eve, new souls come into existence. She births souls into existence, and we tend to think of the soul as the the invisible parts that exist beyond us. But the word soul is in the Bible is almost always used to mean the the person as a whole, but body and spirit together is the soul. The Now our spirits do exist beyond death, um, and then are reunited with their bodies in the resurrection. But the word soul, generally in the Bible, has to do with the whole thing. It's the principle of unity for the whole person. And Eve is the baptismal font of mankind. The first birth of mankind is always through the waters of woman. And then she's also the receiver of the first promise and the fountainhead of faith. She's the beginning of the faith of mankind. She's the seed of the woman is what is promised that will crush the head of the serpent. And that's why Paul in 1 Timothy 2:15 says that we look to Eve's faith if we want to be fruitful, right? That we imitate the faith of Eve. Now, that uh, that glorious creature is the one that Adam needs to submit to him. Now, submission means coming under the mission of another, right? Adam is given this mission and he needs help. He needs somebody that gives him the gift of joining the mission, because the need is wisdom for this particular mission. And then Eve gives the gift of submission, of joining his mission. And he has to woo her into that, right? You can't demand somebody, uh, if you can't demand somebody voluntarily give you submission, because it doesn't work anymore, right? Because it's not submission at that point. The submission has to be a gift from Eve to Adam, and this is one of the most powerful things that you see all throughout the scriptures, all throughout history, is that when a man woos a woman to his mission, when she gives the gift of joining his mission, and then they are working together on the same mission, what they can accomplish is far beyond what anybody ever would have expected. Whereas if there's rivalry between husband and wife, if there's demanding, if there's the attempt to control one another rather than pointing towards the mission together, you get all sorts of ugliness, and some of the very worst things in life come from that. But a husband and wife that know what the mission that God has given them is, they're working on it together. They're joyfully joining in the mission together. They are respecting each other's perspectives and joining those perspectives together and seeing together the things that a husband and wife can accomplish uh, are so much more than anybody would expect. So the first thing to know is that Adam and Eve, Adam and Eve have different strengths, different visions of the world, different understandings, and they fit together. Right now, it takes time and work and practice and humility and all sorts of things to get them to fit together. But when they do fit together, then the dominion that they can take together is far beyond what either of them can take alone. So that's the first installment of kind of our new section on what is a husband and a wife, what is a marriage, and um, next we'll be uh, talking about what it you know how to be a blessing, how a husband can be a blessing in that situation. What does it look like for a wife to be a blessing in that situation? Kind of the details of that.